Hi everyone, once again, Mr. English is with you people. Today I'm going to talk about what is IELTS. It is International English Language Testing System. This is an exam which is conducted by Cambridge University, and surely there are certain partners which are organizing the IELTS test across the world. So these two bodies are British Council and the other one is IDP. So let's talk about the modules of IELTS. So there are two modules of IELTS. One is academic and the other one is general. The IELTS academic module has been designed for the students who are planning to study abroad, and IELTS general is for those who have their mindset to move abroad on the basis of their skills, or in other words we can say it is based on the skilled immigration. Normally the IELTS results remains valid for 2 years, okay, and there is no criteria for this test as a pass or fail. Rather, the bands are given. So total 1 to 9 bands are set as understanding the proficiency level of the students. Okay, so let me first of all tell you that the 9 bands, if someone wants to get 9 bands, so there is a criteria which is commonly known as that he should be called as an expert user of the language, and for 8 bands he will be known as a very good user, and for 7 bands in IELTS he could be called a good user of English language. Whereas as far as the band 6 are concerned, he is known as, or he is recognized as, a competent user of English language. For band 5 he is known as modest user. But what I think, so the last stage for the students, because they have to apply to the international universities and colleges, and that is their foundation course, and might be they required limited, at least that is 4 bands, and for this they are known as the limited users. Okay, so let's talk about the test format, that what is in IELTS. So there are 4 skills which are tested for the students. So first skill is listening, the second one is reading, then the third one is writing, and lastly speaking. So first 3 skills like listening, reading and writing, these are tested on the same day, and this is commonly known as a main test day, whereas speaking is a kind of interview which is conducted on a separate time or separate day. To some extent the venues are also sometimes different, but in certain cases the venues are the same. So let's talk about listening test. What is in listening test? So the listening test comprises 30 minutes recording, and after 30 minutes students are given 10 minutes to transfer their answers to an answer sheet. And the category of IELTS listening test, it includes different sub skills related to IELTS listening, and these skills are MCQs, then matching plan, map or diagram, or labeling sometime diagram. Then it is about forming or making notes or completion of certain notes in form of fill in the blanks, and sometimes table is given to the students in IELTS listening test. So sometimes there is a flow chart which a student is to attempt, and also sometimes there is a summary completion. This is another sub skill in IELTS listening test, and short question answers are sometimes there. So these are some of the important sub skills which are tested in IELTS listening test. So there are 4 sections in IELTS listening test. So every section contains 10 marks or 10 questions, you can say. So the first section comprises a conversation between two people set in everyday social context, whereas the section 2 deals with a monologue, like a talk by a person, single person, set in everyday social context. If we talk about the section 3 in IELTS listening, it's a conversation between ranging from 2, 3 up to 4 people. They are talking and the students are trying to comprehend or understand what they are talking about. And normally it is about an academic discussion, or it's sometimes training context based listenings are there. And the last one is about again another monologue, and it is about an academic subject. So let's talk about the next skill, and that is how listening test is assessed. I mean, assessment of the listening test. Normally, there are 3 major components which a student should understand what these are about. So first of all, it's understanding of the main ideas and the specific and factual information. Okay. And second one is recognizing opinions, attitudes, and purpose of the speaker. And the lastly, following development of an argument. How is an argument being developed? Student needs to comprehend and understand it. Let's talk about the second major skill in IELTS test, that is reading test. So the total time for reading test is 60 minutes, and there is no extra time given to the students to transfer their answer to an answer sheet. So there are 40 questions. In IELTS academic reading, there are 3 passages. And in 3 passages, students are supposed to attempt 40 questions. But in case of IELTS general, the passages are normally ranging from 4 to 5 passages. And again, the 40 questions are there. It is generally believed, and it is to some extent a fact, that the use of the verbosity and the language complications are there in IELTS reading test. But in case of IELTS general reading, there is no that much complication of language. Okay, it's just, you can say, it's a technical things which are there in IELTS general reading. And normally it's comparatively easy to understand and comprehend. Let's talk about the types of the questions in IELTS reading test. Okay, so these are comprising subscales just like MCQs. Then there is another category that is true, false, not given. Then it's sometimes given a yes, a no, or not given. And then is matching the headings. Okay, and it is also comprising sentence completion or summary completion as well. It's also about the note completion and table completion as well. So these are the subcategories in reading test. So let's talk about normally that what is in the texts of academic reading. So text normally the passages which are given, these are authentic and taken from the books, journals, magazines, and the newspapers. And what I understand and believe, that the total number of words in the whole reading test are ranging from 2000 to 2800 words approximately. And these are written on non-specialist audience and are on academic topics of general interests. Text range from descriptive and factual to discursive and analytical. And sometimes it may contain non-verbal materials such as diagrams. So let's talk further about the reading test. I mean, the reading test, there are certain things which students should understand. That is about the assessment of reading test. So in assessment, the first thing that is the reading for gist. Like if a long passage is given over there, what is the gist? What is the you can say summary or conclusion of the text, and then reading for main ideas. This is a real challenge for the student. The other one is reading for details, and also understanding inferences and implied meaning, not the literal meaning which are given over there, but the implied meaning, and recognition or as a writer's opinion, attitude, and the purpose, and lastly, following the development of argument. So let's talk about the writing test. The writing test comprises 60 minutes. So there are two tasks in writing, task 1 and task 2. In IELTS academic, task 1 is about a diagram, that is a line graph, then a bar graph, and so these are the some main sub skills which are tested in task 1. But if you talk about the task 2, it's a kind of essay which a student is to attempt. So the total time for task 1 is 20 minutes and 150 words, and for academic students for essay 40 minutes and 250 words minimum. Normally 4 paragraphs for each module are supposed to write. And let's talk about how it is normally academic test is assessed in this context. So in this context, there are 4 major components in assessment. Okay, in first one is content, that what is being written in the test. Okay, the second one is the organization of ideas. Then accuracy is there, range of vocabulary is there, and the grammar is also there. So these are the major things which are normally assessed in IELTS writing test. Let's finally talk about IELTS speaking test. It contains 14 to about 11 to 14 or 15 minutes, and this is just kind of face-to-face interview with the students. Okay, and there are probably 3 parts of IELTS speaking test. Part 1 is about the introduction. It's all about the student. Okay, and if we talk about the part 2, it's a kind of cue card. A topic is given to the student and he is given 1 minute to prepare it, to make some certain points about it. Okay, and the student is to speak for 2 minutes. And if we talk about the third part of IELTS speaking test, it's a kind of two-way discussion, and there are some follow-up questions related to the cue card, and sometimes the topics are a bit different. So this is all about IELTS 4 skills. I think so you have understood very well, and for more details you can send us email, you can WhatsApp us, and you can reach us on Facebook. Thank you. From Free IELTS Essential, Mr. English.